Evening, everyone. Welcome to Express Meditation, where we're going to continue our contemplations on death and impermanence, um, and looking at I think there's 5 or 6 faults of not contemplating death and impermanence, um, is not contemplating them on a daily basis. You know, I think there's some energy when we do something every day. We It's not only creating a habit, but we're creating an energy moving in a direction, and this becomes a force of change. So we just find a comfortable position, sitting, laying down, standing, whatever is comfortable for you. Checking your posture. Making sure there's no holding or tension. There's no discomfort in your knees, your hips, your back, shoulders, arms, legs, neck. Everything's relaxed. Back is as straight as possible. And then we can check in with our breath. And we find it was there all along, even when we didn't think about it. The body breathes. So there's the inhale and the exhale. Inhaling the air through the nostrils. It gets pulled down into the lungs. And then when we exhale, we push out all that air out of the lungs, up through the nostrils, and it gets fully expelled. So we just take 1 minute and observe it, watch it. Don't control it. Just observing the breath, calming the mind. Now, with this more calm and spacious mind, think about your motivation. Why did you show up to meditate today? So just think about it for 30 seconds. Sometimes we don't know why. We have to dig down and ask ourselves, what am I doing? What's my purpose? What's my motivation? So, whatever it is, find it and set it. And now, with that motivation, we think about death and impermanence. So, we tend to innately adhere to this misconception that we're not going to die. I think everyone can subscribe to that. But at the same time, cognitively, logically, we certainly will. But throughout like our daily awareness, we never or rarely we have we don't have this sense that our life is impermanent and it could finish at any time. We feel as things can go on as they are for some vague amount of time. Which is interesting because we have this thought, exactly this thought, right up until the moment that death arrives. But we don't have to have that thought. We can change that. But we're so caught up kind of in this world around us and all these stimuli that that are present and distract. And then we hold on to this or that. And we continue to search for temporal happiness. And then we lose this chance for freedom, this chance for enlightenment when we do that. So it says in the teachings in the text that even if we practice Dharma, but we don't reflect on death, and we don't reflect on impermanence, then our practice can get easily interrupted. Or we're distracted, we get pulled into worldly pleasures. And that makes our practice weak. Because then we start to procrastinate. I know it very well. Life gets consumed with sleep, gossip, eating, drinking. And we get deceived by thinking that, oh, we're going to live a long time. I can practice later. So how often do you think about impermanence? It's a week, every other day, maybe when reading about death in the newspaper. It's probably not so much, but we do. We do something, or we wouldn't be here. So we need to expand that seed. And when we contemplate and we really get into this impermanence, it's not depressing at all. It's not fearful. It's completely freeing. So kind of coming back to what are these the faults or the kind of the negative attributes when we don't think about impermanence and death. So for starters, we're not going to remember the Dharma. If you can't remember death and you remain completely immersed in activities seeking transient pleasures and completely focus on this life, craving food, fashion, reputation, wealth, popularity, then you're not going to remember the Dharma, let alone practice it. So death is kind of like the contemplation of it is like an anchor. It pulls us back, it centers us. And then you can see this life is temporary. It's like a temporary stop on the way to future lives. So, can you see how contemplating death and impermanence, and that this is just a stop on the path? Can you see that this reduces your attachment? It reduces your irritation, your anxiety. Because you can see that these attachments or the irritation, the anxiety, they're related to things in this life. And when we have the longer view, the temporary view, those objects, those external objects, they lose their power. They're not so attractive. They don't cause me stress because I have a much bigger goal in mind. So if you think about impermanence more frequently, how does that change your day? How does it change how you spend your morning? And it's not that we don't do everything that we do and give it all up. It's not that we don't make our morning coffee and don't enjoy it, but we don't let it run our lives. And we don't have that strong attachment to it. We just do it with a different attitude, knowing that impermanence is there. It could come at any time, and that's okay. So in the teachings of the Buddha, so paraphrasing, of course, it says every day that passes without recollecting death is a day wasted. It's because if it's not practiced, if the Dharma is not practiced, then you're not going to remember it. And then by not remembering death, even though you might recollect the Dharma, you'll not put it into practice because we get into this cycle of procrastinating. You say, oh, I'll do it after the exams. Or once the business has settled down, then I'll do my practice. When the kids are through school, then I'll do some practice. And then we really develop this procrastination muscle. And then we become the expert of finding the next excuse of not practicing our Dhamma. And this creates an underlying sense of permanence. So when we have this contemplation of impermanence, this uncertainty of the time of death, ah, then we start to practice. So what would you do if you think about this? The uncertainty of the time of death. Don't know when it's going to happen. 6 months, 1 month, next week, today, tonight. So we want to develop this habit of remembering impermanence. And not as this, oh, thing we don't want to think about. It's too difficult. No, not like that. Like the anchor that keeps us focused. Or maybe better that it's a rudder on the boat, keeping us on course. So that we can smoothly sail to our destination. And dedicate all of the merits that we generated during this meditation, our contemplations of impermanence and death. We dedicate all those merits to everyone that's recently passed. Dedicate to all the people that are currently experiencing uh, health problems, to all the people that are suffering due to war and oppression. And we dedicate to all of our teachers, because without them, the Dharma wouldn't be with us today. May they have long lives. May they be reborn as human, come back to teach in future lives. To lead all sentient beings to full enlightenment. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.